Awakened Company, and we hadn't planned to do a Zoom session today until I got a note from Chris. And I saw Chris's note and I thought, you know what? Why not? If Chris is reaching out, then obviously there's a reason. So Chris, tell me why you popped in today and how we can be helpful.
Fair enough. I appreciate you feeling my energy and thinking of me and actually doing this today. So that means a lot. So I reached out. My plan was not actually to reach out today. So it's hard for me to come back. I get derailed easy, and the Enneagram has definitely helped me get back on the rails, I guess, get back on staying on course and focusing on what I need to do. But at a meeting that I had been prepping for like the last 4 days, and the guy confirmed and just didn't show up this morning, didn't answer my calls, didn't return any of my emails, and got my whole team together to join in on this WebEx meeting, and he just didn't show up. So now I need to be productive for the rest of the day and think of how I can be productive and not think about why this guy didn't show up and the reasons why. And I find the Enneagram definitely helps me do that. You know, when I think about my numbers and not going to that deep side of one, that unhealthy side of one, and stay in my healthy side of 7. So.
So what type, how are you using the self-awareness then for the rest of your day? How are you using the self-awareness to help yourself remain present and in the here and the now?
You know, being new to the Enneagram, well, I wouldn't say new, but newer, and still learning it takes time to have those realizations that you're there, you know, because when you're there, it seems, even when you're in the unhealthy side, it still seems comfortable. You know what I mean? Like it still seems like it's, until you have that realization that you're far better off to be in your healthy 7, you know, or, you know, well, I'm a 7, so, you know, you're a healthy 8, but it's still hard to have those realizations, you know, and, you know, like the first thing I do in this meeting, this guy doesn't show up, is, you know, I'm in the upstairs office right now. So I run downstairs to my team and just confirm that I'm okay and that they're okay, and that I shouldn't be doing that. You know, it's, things happen and, you know, I need to get on with my day. But instead I find myself confirming with my team that I'm okay. You know, they're okay. they're still healthy. So, you know, that's, it's having those realizations right away. You know, don't spend, you know, being a 7, I can spend days pondering about why this happened. It's terrible.
Right. Right.
And then take on way more projects that I'm not going to finish. And then it's a struggle being a 7 sometimes, but it's having that realization. So that's why I wanted to tune in today, and maybe you can, you know, I love the quotes. I love the, you know, just that breathing, even to find yourself, to put yourself back in the ground, you know, that's helped me a lot. So it's that, I think out of the biggest thing that's helped me that you've done, Catherine, is that breathing, that belly breathing, to really, you know. And then the other session that we had is opening those doors. That's probably what I'm going to do after this, is spend the next 10-15 minutes and see what happens, and how I can open those doors in my heart, my mind centers, right, and accompany with the breathing, and see if I can get back on the ground. Or I don't know where my breathing is going to take me. Sometimes it, you know, most recently it's gone right to my feet, and I know that's a sign, but I don't realize what that sign is quite yet. I haven't found out yet. So
great self-awareness, Chris, because unless we catch ourselves in the act of our default or in the act of our pattern, it's very challenging to awaken. So I love the fact that you see your map for how you can awaken. So with that self-awareness, getting yourself out of your trance, you can awaken and you can bring the fullness of your being to your work. So you know what, let's do a practice and then other people can practice.
For sure.
One of my big things is like people just breathe from the top part of their lungs typically. And Chris is a leader in an organization, and typically what happens, and we just breathe from here. And we want to start breathing from kind of 2 finger widths below our belly button. So there's this sense of expanse. So Chris, let's do this together. Let's close our eyes. Let's place our hands on our bellies, just below our belly buttons. And let's do 5 deep breaths. So 5 deep breaths into our belly center. So, and begin. Breathe in. Hold and exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. And exhale. Breathe in. And exhale. Breathe in. And exhale. And when you're ready, come back to the room. How do you feel now, Chris?
Better, but it didn't go where I thought it was going to go.
Well, that's interesting. So tell me more about that.
Well, typically it's been going to my feet to, like I mentioned before, like when I breathe out, that energy is just traveling down, you know, and grounding me. But I've also had my hands on my legs when I do it, not on my belly. So I think that's a different energy, or where the energy is going is different. But I went up into my shoulders. I went into my shoulders and down, like down to my arms. And again, probably a sign that I need to look into.
It is. It's an invitation. It is an absolute invitation, because our body, of course, votes for us. So just noticing, oh, that's interesting. It went into my shoulders and my arms, whereas normally I feel more grounded.
Yeah.
So that is, I look forward to hearing more. So
I will
do it and report back.
For sure. I will be tuning in next week.
Yes, next week is on crafting presentations. So it's a very practical tool. So and Peter McCoppin will be talking about it because he's a former National Symphony conductor, and it's his thing. Any words of wisdom for our audience in terms of what self-awareness has brought to you before we close off?
I'll try and make it quick, okay, but I could go all day. Self-awareness, what is brought to me is being able to not only just get more done in a day, but to come out of my comfort zones in a lot of ways. So, I'm fine with life being comfortable, but the Enneagram and self-awareness has brought me being, like, it's really hard to explain. Being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Taking more risks, not bad risks per se, but taking more risks in terms of in life, and then seeing what's actually out there for me, instead of just staying inside the box. Instead of just staying a widget of the assembly line per se. Self-awareness has really brought me out there to, here's an example. I didn't know how to cook something, so I read a whole cooking book, and just to find out, I would never do that until I wanted to be more self-aware of what's actually in this book, so it really opens up the mind. And I would invite anybody and everybody to really do it. I really think the world would be a better place if people had that self-realization. It's comforting. It's comforting as a hug. So it really is. And the best part about it is I have like 4 Enneagram sessions a week. So it's I get hugged 4 times a week with knowledge and essence, and I love it. So thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Chris. And I think what you're raising is, as we raise our consciousness and more our self-awareness, the more externally we can show up. And there's
100%.
an invitation with every business leader to
100%.
truly show up. And let me just close with, I think there's an invitation for everybody for us to consider what is the smallest thing we can do to be of service. So we'll leave on that note.
Perfect.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Catherine. Take care.
You too.